What's up peeps, how's it going? Toofty here, and today we have the first of maybe a new series where I'm going to be talking about some basic techniques for the Demoman, and today we're looking at sticky jumping. Now, I don't consider myself a master by any means at sticky jumping, so I'm hoping this will be more of a very simple and practical guide to sticky jumping. Anyone can pick up and try out. Completely new players, maybe some intermediate players, but if you're more advanced you're probably going to know about most of these things anyway. But feel free to watch along anyway, I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments below. Of course there are some other great guides out there already, but I'm hoping at least I bring something slightly new to the table. Some of the existing guides out there use jump maps. I'm going to try and stick to real world examples because I feel like that might be more useful, and I'm also going to stick to actually using the sticky bomb launcher as opposed to the sticky jumper. The sticky jumper is great for practice, but the majority of Demoman are going to be using the sticky bomb launcher, so I kind of want to demonstrate what it's like to use that, how much health you're left with after using that and actually taking damage, because that's kind of one of the most important things with sticky jumping. Actually, after the jump, putting yourself in a situation where you're not just going to die immediately, basically the onward journey to get healed up and carry on your way. So before we jump into the 5 types of sticky jump I wanted to talk about today, I first wanted to talk about some of the actual reasons you sticky jump within the game. I put these in order of kind of priority, in order of how commonly you would use them. So the first one is rollouts. Pretty much every single map you use, you can get to the front lines quicker by using a series of sticky jumps. And this tends to be just a matter of practice and figuring out kind of the most optimal way to get to the front line as quickly as you can, and obviously with as much health as you can too. But you don't have to do like the absolute perfectly efficient rollout. You can just do as much as you can do. A simple 1 or 2 sticky jumps can get you to the front line quicker, and this is probably the most useful place to learn and use sticky jumping regularly. Number 2 is getting to a position with an advantage. So yeah, there are a bunch of different advantages you may want to get by using a sticky jump. The most obvious one is a height advantage, but you may also want to just get behind the enemy, you might want to flank round. There are several things you can do, and I find myself using this fairly often as long as I'm fairly confident that wherever I'm going to head to, I can get healed up quite quickly, or I've got such an advantage that the trade-off of having lower health is worthwhile. So yeah, this is probably the jump I use second most in games on a day-to-day basis. The third one I've got here is clutching an objective. Obviously you don't see this quite as often, but occasionally in a pub there may be a control point that's getting capped, and by jumping in really quickly you can actually defend that control point. Maybe it's the payload, they're just about to finish the game, sticky jump on may just save the game. I also find on CTF maps, if somehow you've gotten the flag and your health is pretty decent, sticky jumping kind of on the way back to your base can be really useful too. So the idea here, a quick aggressive attack, again, not used very often. The idea is you may want to quickly attack the enemy, and by jumping through the air you're obviously a much harder target. You can get into the enemy quickly and damage them quickly. It's very risky. I really don't actually do this much, but it's definitely something that can be useful occasionally, especially if you've just been buffed and there's a bunch of enemies. You may just want to jump in there, rain down some stickies and cause a bunch of damage. And I would definitely recommend stickies over pipes when you're flying through the air, simply because a pipe is hard to hit at the best of times, so if you're flying through the air it's going to be even trickier to hit. And the final one I've got down is escaping. So again, not used that often, because if you're in that much danger you've probably got low health, so using a sticky jump isn't available to you. I think the one I use the most is when it's escaping Ubers, because if you see an Uber popped and you have plenty of notice, then you can just jump out of there, get out of the way and take your time, wait for it to fade and then come back in. Okay, so the 5 types of jump I wanted to talk about. The first one is the basic sticky jump. Essentially it's the jump, crouch, detonate in quick succession. You simply try and jump pretty much as far as you can at roughly a 45 degrees angle, perhaps less because you do want to reduce the fall damage as much as you can, but you actually can't force this one to be very horizontal just because it's on the floor. And again, I'll come to some other options in a second that kind of help with this problem. So the second one I've listed here, I've called it the half sticky jump. It's basically when you don't need to go the full distance. There are at least 3 ways you can do this. The first way of doing this is simply doing exactly what we did before, but just detonating a bit later. The second one, which I really wanted to talk about today, was actually a slightly different technique. The idea is that instead of detonating on the way up, you actually detonate on the way back down from your jump. You jump a bit earlier than normal, and then on the way down, with the sticky bomb very close to you and slightly more behind you, you then detonate, and therefore you can do not a very long jump, but a short and very horizontal jump. This can be particularly useful in things like corridors where you don't really want to be hitting your head, and you don't necessarily need to go very far, but you just want to kind of get a little speed boost. This is one I use really often. Now the third way of doing a kind of half jump, as I've called it, is actually just crouching and not jumping. Now this is one I'm not very familiar with. This essentially does the same thing as the one I just talked about, but you'll go a little bit further and you take a little bit more damage, as far as I'm aware at least. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, I think this can be useful in certain situations on certain rollouts, but of course, you know, each to their own, whatever suits you best. Okay, so the third one I wanted to talk about is the sticky jump off of a wall. It's one of those things that if you're learning demo, you just don't really think to do to begin with. So the reason this is really useful is because you basically transfer the vertical energy into horizontal energy. That sounds like science, I promise you it's not, it's just me making it up. And you can even sort of angle it depending on where you put the sticky bomb to go higher or lower. So you can actually, if you really wanted to, in some situations, you can actually sticky jump at a downward angle. As you're doing this jump, you tend to want to detonate quite quickly. Obviously make sure you're crouched as always, and a good kind of guide to begin with is roughly kind of shoulder height. I find useful. It gives you a kind of upward angle, but only slightly. But yeah, this is probably one of my favorite jumps to do, and it's just so useful to play around with. And even though it's not suitable for every situation, as you do get used to it, you'll kind of start to learn exactly when and where this is useful. Okay, so the next one is the double sticky jump. Now, this is where we get past the most common and everyday kind of sticky jumps, and we start talking about the ones that are slightly more unusual, very rarely practical, and perhaps slightly more tricky to pull off. So like I said, this is kind of one you use very rarely. Maybe if you're really well buffed, you could use it. If you've got a very open map, I think one of the only places I use this is at the beginning of Upward. If we're really stuck, there's a sentry nest. They've just got a massively good front line. You can do a double sticky jump all the way behind the enemy. If you're able to do that successfully, this gives you a great angle onto their base, onto their telly. Obviously, if you're using the sticky jumper, then this is a way more reasonable jump to be doing. You just need to look out for the fall damage. And one way to help kind of reduce the fall damage is to use what I mentioned earlier, a sticky jump off of the wall. This in combination with the double sticky jump means you go really horizontally. It's really good fun. You'll get to the other side of the map really quickly. And although it's not often practical, it's definitely a good fun one to try out. Okay, so the very last one I wanted to talk about, and I may have used this kind of technique once or twice in my life actually within a game, and that is the pogo. Essentially what a pogo is it's a second jump whilst you're in midair. There's a second kind of pogo where you actually jump vertically, which I won't talk about today, but it's kind of good for practicing this. So yeah, essentially this gives you a similar amount of distance as the double sticky jump. The main difference being is that you do get some kind of maneuverability within the air, so you can kind of turn around corners when you do the second sticky detonation in the air. Now this is by far the hardest one to do. The best example of this I've seen is the rollout on Process. I recommend checking that out. There's two types of rollouts on Process. One's the basic one that gets you there pretty quickly, and then there's the double sticky jump Pogo-y one that gets you there super duper quickly, and it looks awesome. It's one of those things I see even the pros kind of fudge up, so I kind of get the feeling that it's often not worth the risk unless you're absolutely super duper confident. But anyway, yeah, I guess if you do use the sticky jumper, then that's when it might become more useful. But yeah, definitely the one I use the least often. So before we end this video, there's a few other points I wanted to mention. The first one is about practice. Now, I'm not a massive fan of jump maps. I don't find them massively good fun. What you can do instead is simply use the beginning of the round to practice. It may not seem like it's helping, but it actually probably is. It's just the muscle memory kind of sinking in, and just doing that before every single match. Before long, you'll probably get to grips with it quite quickly. Now, I already mentioned this briefly, but just to try and avoid fall damage, it's often really useful to kind of aim for high parts of the scenery, a fence, whatever it is. Aiming for those can be really useful. It's It's worth considering the cart as a big juicy health pack, so if you are rolling out and you're using all the health packs, if you know your last jump you're going to land near the cart, then it doesn't matter too much if you know you haven't got full health. So that's something worth considering if you're rolling out on payload maps. Following from that, if you know there's a big health pack on your route, that's when you can do the more risky jumps. You can do like even a double jump if you wanted to, because obviously as soon as you get that big health pack, you're back to full health. It's really useful knowing where those are and taking advantage of them. One tip for perhaps more advanced players, and maybe this is for when you're escaping a situation and you've got really low health, you can actually get the health pack before you take the full damage. And maybe you've screwed up the jump, or like I said, you were low on health to begin with and it was just a last ditch attempt to escape. You can get that health just before you take the full damage. You never know, it may just save your life. And yeah, just one final point just to kind of wrap up. Try not to get put off too much if the sticky jump doesn't go perfectly. There's so many variables to the jump. That's what makes it so cool, you know, and makes the game so awesome. It's because whereas in Overwatch you do a jump with Junkrat, I'm going to get shouted at for using that as an example, but it goes at one velocity basically and that's it. Whereas in Team Fortress, the flexibility you have, the range of jumps you can do are just incredible, and it's kind of cool that that's the way the game's been built. It just means that pretty much every jump you do is going to be a little bit different, you know. Try not to worry about that too much. That's why I wanted to put this video together, so that you've got these 3 basic jumps you can learn, and those are pretty solid, you know, safe, easy to do jumps. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope I got across something useful there, and if there are any other topics you guys want me to cover in one of these Demoman guide videos, then please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.